Hi, I'm Happay, the Crafty Chemist, and today I wanted to share with you my December morning routine. Um, every December I knit a 24-day pattern that is a clue a day that Trisha, who goes by Zemi on Ravelry, posts. Let's see, get to the pattern page at Trisha Weatherston, and I don't even know how many times she's done this. Let's see. I've done it every year for many years. No, there's a 2010. I did that one too. So many years of Advent scarf patterns, and it's a free pattern that she posts a few rows of it every day during the month of December, and so then on Christmas you have a gift for yourself. And what I usually try to do is open up the pattern on my laptop and put the pattern up on the page and then knit it. This year has been really nice because it's only a couple rows each day and I've been able to keep up. I actually have not finished last year's pattern, but here's where I am on this year's. I'm using a heavier weight yarn than what it's called for. This is probably closer to a worsted weight than a DK or sport weight, which is what was asked for. So it's a heavier yarn. So I went up on my needle size. And this is a hand spun yarn that I made many years ago. I finished it in 2015. And it is, as you can see, a gradient. Now it was not a gradient when I got the braid of merino wool, which is what this is, and it's super soft. It was like, it wasn't a gradient, it was, I don't know what you call this, like space dyed. It was like blobs of color, and I pulled the whole thing apart and turned it into a gradient. And so I've had this sitting in my stash of yarn, and I've done a few craft fairs and stuff now, and I was just like, well, I don't know what I'm planning to use this yarn for. So I put it in there for sale and it didn't sell. And I couldn't understand why, because I think it's beautiful. I just didn't know what exactly I wanted to use it for. And I don't price my yarns. I like pretty much, I'm like, however I feel about it at the time. And if the person, you know, I don't know, it just, it's hard to price hand spun yarn for me. And it's not something that I like regularly sell. So everything I have is like a one-off kind of thing. So, anyway, when the pattern information started coming out, I was like, well, what do I have that I can use for my stash? Because I'm refusing to buy any yarn, seeing how I have a ridiculous amount of yarn. But this one I think is working out perfectly. We're, you know, on day 18, and I'm obviously not going to make it through the skein, and I got to decide what I want to do about that, because the pattern has some definite like areas of stitch patterns. So like you can see that there's a stitch pattern here that's very lacy, and then I actually really like how the I think this is called like linen stitch area turned out. I think that's gorgeous in here. A nice tight weave looking stitch. And then, you know, there's like just some textury stuff down there. And the texture is showing up quite well with this yarn, I think, because it is so squishy. We got another lacy pattern appearing here with these things. So I still have my 2 rows to knit for today. And the other knitting that I've been working on is a hat for my son. This one's called Entwood, I believe is what it's called. Yes, Entwood by Camille Descateau. I don't know. And I'm also using hand spun yarn for it. It is a heavier weight yarn. It's like worsted, and there's a pattern on here with white stitches and then cables in there. And I think it'll be really neat when it's done. These are his school colors, but both of these are hand spun yarns. This is not my normal color to spin. I do have a little bit more of this wool that I can make into yarn, and I might do that. And so I dyed some Targhee silk for this and blended it with some silk and some other little bits of purpley colored wool that I had around, not a whole lot. Most of this is Targhee silk that I dyed. This is Bond, Australian Bond, that I got a little bit of it from my friends at Inglenook Fibers. It was left over from one of their advent calendars, and then a lot of silk in here. And this is super soft and luxurious. Like, I love this yarn. And I also built in some sari silk with it so that it just had little pops of color, and there's a nice shine on this. So I had wanted to make this for my son to wear while he works. He works at a lumber yard, and it's cold outside where he is, but I did not get a chance to finish that up before Christmas. So what I have been doing is watching Christmas movies while I'm working on projects. Last weekend I watched them while I was writing exams and grading papers, because I have a ton of grading to finish up. It's at the end of the semester, so it's time to turn in grades. And I thought, well, I'll just kind of do a little review of those, and maybe I'll make a video of the movies while I do my morning knitting. And so these patterns are not just straightforward, obviously, since there's a lot of different stitches on here. What I've done is I have these stitch markers every 20 stitches. So like this one is a lightsaber, and this one says, "May the Force be with you." This one's a Death Star. This one is little Grogu in his pod. This one says, "This is the way," and that's my halfway mark. Here we have Darth Vader and Mando's helmet, and R2-D2, and then we're back to the lightsaber. So I have these every 20 stitches. Sorry, my nose is itchy. I have these every 20 stitches. The pattern is marked every 10 stitches, and that just helps me to keep up. 10 stitches would have been too few for me to have, but I like the 20 stitches that I put in here, and that helps me to, you know, keep track of where I am. There were different sizes that you can make on this. There's an 80 stitch repeat on here, and so as long as you did multiples of 80, then your cowl would come out okay. And there's lots of different sizes of them that people are knitting this year. Mine is the smallest size, which is only 160 stitches all the way around, and actually I think it'll be just right for me. Like, I don't want to have it extra long and doubled up. This way I can just wear it with one loop and keep warm. Plus, this is all the yarn that I had. I probably will only make it through some of the blue on here, and then I got to decide what I want to do, if I want to like add up some more of the yarn. I think there was about 350 yards of yarn that I had spun up on this. So all right, so the first Christmas movie that I watched last weekend was called The Worst Christmas Ever, and it was a grumpy cat movie. I got my coffee going here too. Yeah, so the premise of the movie is that we have a pet shop at a mall that is not able to pay its rent. And so they get some sort of $1 million dog, and they're going to sell this $1 million dog, and then they'll be able to pay for their shop rent. Well, these two crooks find out that this shop has this $1 million dog, and so they try to break in to steal it. Well, there's a little girl who makes a wish in a wishing well, and she wishes for a best friend, and it turns out that her best friend becomes Grumpy Cat, who's also in the pet shop and has not been purchased. And she can now hear Grumpy Cat talk. And this little girl and Grumpy Cat end up saving the day. It is really cute. It is exactly what you'd expect a Grumpy Cat movie to be. And I enjoyed it. So I decided I would give things Christmas stars. I will give that one 4 out of 5 Christmas stars because it was cute and exactly what you would expect it to be for a Christmas movie, obviously targeting a younger audience, but I don't care. I was watching. I had things kind of going in the background while I was working. All right. So the next movie I watched was Wrapped Up in Christmas. And this one also took place in a mall. Apparently malls are still a thing somewhere. I don't know. Or maybe it's just a location that's easy to shoot a movie in. I don't know. Anyways, Wrapped Up in Christmas. There's a toy store in the mall. And of course, there's a handsome guy who's working for his aunt at the toy store in the mall. And then the other main person is a woman who is a mall exec. And they meet over buying hot chocolate at a Christmas tree lot. And they end up getting the same flavor, so they get all excited about it. A lot of really cheesy, completely unrealistic things happen, like this artist guy who works for his aunt at this toy store fills in as Santa, and the mall exec's niece lets out that her Christmas wish is for her aunt to have a boyfriend for Christmas. So it ends on Christmas Eve in the mall with a kiss in front of everybody they know, which is really kind of creepy. So I gave this one 3 out of 5. Wouldn't watch it again. Can't believe I watched it in the first place. All right, the next movie I watched, Once Upon a Main Street. And I gave it 3 out of 5 Christmas stars. Okay, yeah. I remember this now. There was a man and a woman who both wanted to buy the same building and turn it into some sort of a shop. The woman wanted it to be a Christmas store, and the man wanted it to be a place where he sold baked goods. So they both go to the owner of the building and try to plead their case because he has to decide who he's gonna sell the building to. The woman who wants the Christmas store, who puts in a cash offer for the building, or the man who has put in a higher offer, but it's not a cash offer. And somehow they end up staying at this guy's house and help running the Main Street Christmas decorating contest for the whole town. And of course they win, and then they fall in love and they decide that they will share the building. And that's the story. So it's of course cheesy and completely predictable and exactly what a Christmas movie should be, but I only gave it 3 out of 5. And the fourth one that I watched, I may not even post this. This is terrible. This is a terrible video. Why would anybody want to watch this video? But the fourth one I watched is called Feliz Navidad, or Feliz Navidad, and it takes place in Pine Star, Arizona, and there's a single dad who is a principal at the school, and they have a bell choir, and he just happens to meet a woman who is in the Phoenix Symphony as a French horn player who's there to help her dad sell these toys that her mom had collected, but her mom has passed away. And of course she lives far away and he is a principal there, and they're denying that they love each other, but he gets her to help with this bell choir for some sort of Christmas bell choir concert or something. And they end up, of course, winning that concert, and they decide to date even though Pine Star and Phoenix are not close together. If you're not familiar with the Phoenix area, it would take several hours to just get outside of town, because it takes at least an hour to get out of the center of Phoenix. So it's just, there's a lot of traffic and it's pretty big. It's a pretty big area. So, but they decide to date anyway, and then they date happily ever after. So there's not like a marriage thing, but there's a love thing. And of course the cheesiness of the Christmas concert, and bell choir thing. So I only gave that, well, I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars, or yeah, Christmas stars. So that's where I am with all of the Christmas movies that I've been watching. And this is my Christmas knitting. And now we've hit the end of the semester. And so today I will be turning in my grades and cleaning up my office for the end of the year. I'll also water all my plants and, you know, get that kind of stuff taken care of, because the campus will be closed between Christmas and New Year's. Of course, I have time to go in there in between, but my son is coming home today, the college boy. I guess he's not really good at communicating with us on what's going on, and we'd expected him tomorrow. I thought that he had to work this weekend, but I guess that he didn't, because every week I have a call with my parents, and we do a FaceTime call and just chat and catch up on whatever's been going on. And they tell me that my son is going to be going to the family holiday party with them. Now, I've never gotten to go to the family holiday party. It was something that started after I had moved away, and it is usually right in the middle of me finishing up for the semester plus whatever else is going on around here. And so I guess that my son has taken a friend to the airport in Kansas City, and then he stayed with my parents, went to the holiday party, and he was there yesterday, and then he is leaving sometime this morning to come here. And we found this out on Saturday morning from my parents, not from my kid. So I don't know, maybe they made him help with the decorating because I guess they hadn't put up their Christmas tree or anything like that yet. So he usually does help my parents out a lot when he goes and visits. He's spent a couple holidays there. It's only a couple hours to his grandparents' house, and is versus almost 6 hours to our house. So he spends some holidays there. So I'm not doing too bad with this talking and knitting. My husband has just kind of gotten moving for the day. He gets up and does like a lot of stuff around the house, and then sometimes goes back to bed for a little bit. So yeah, we'll get my oldest son, the college kid, at some point today. A day earlier than we had expected. And, we're going to do the traditional things, make sure that everybody gets to an eye doctor and a dentist. And I haven't started any kind of baking for the holidays. My husband does most of the cooking, but I do all of the baking, and it usually happens after the end of my semester that I'll get started on that. So I will be doing some of that. I've been doing some planning for what I want to bake. So I just now finished, I don't know what row we're on, 39. We're on row 39 for the Advent. So I just finished one row, and I will now start row 40. So yeah, I'll be doing some baking, and I'm not really sure what I want to do. I want to clean up here in my craft room. This room since 2020 has doubled as an office, and it gets rather messy in here. I'll work on something and then I just don't have time to put it away. And my husband is like fine with whatever mess I have as long as I don't spread it out into the rest of the house. And I do a pretty good job with that. I do have to keep the door shut all the time because we have a cat who absolutely is obsessed with wool. If I leave my knitting out, she crawls into the bag or pulls the wool out and then just chews it into little tiny bits. So I have to be really careful with where I leave balls of yarn or fiber, anything like that, and she cannot come in here. Now the other cat, he can. My cats are Kylo and Ray, and Kylo is okay coming into the room because he just ignores everything. He's pokes around and looks at everything, but then he just wants to sit in the windows. And it's just so messy in here right now, and our windows have some holiday decorations in them, so we don't really have him coming in here right now. And I'm gonna clean this up, and then I'm gonna start making some plans for what I want to do every day during my break. I want to definitely work on crafting projects that I don't get to work on during the academic year. And I do have a craft show that I will be a vendor at in March, and it is a wool festival actually, and I did really well at it last year, and I'd like to make things look even better for this year. So that is going to be some of what I spend my time on, because I just really don't have a lot of time during the semester, and I got to make some plans and get everything going. They asked if I have a logo. I don't really have a logo. So that's something I need to think about, whether I'd like to somehow figure out a logo design. I played around with some stuff a little bit. I don't have any intention of being super formal with my craft fair stuff. Just selling some things. What it is I make spindles, and So I need to like make sure I have enough spindle stock for my live sales, and yeah, I need to talk myself into not buying fiber. I mean, I know that I mostly post coloring here, but my primary crafting is fiber related crafts. So knitting and spinning and dyeing and carding wool and weaving a little bit, but not in anything like big as far as the weaving goes. I only have like a small tapestry loom and a small inkle loom. So I don't have, and then like some other small peg loom kind of things. I don't have anything really substantial for doing any of the weaving stuff. I would love to have one, a bigger loom, so that I could, make bigger projects and hopefully use up some of this yarn that I have. So maybe over this break, I'll do some more videos about, my craft room and some of these other crafts that I do. I really only started with coloring when I got COVID a year ago. And coloring was pretty much all I could talk myself into doing. Now, I'm not saying I don't enjoy coloring. And in the past year, I have really overdone it with the coloring book stuff. But, what can you say? I've always loved coloring. I started coloring as a child. My favorite thing was the box of crayons that my grandmother gave me every year, every time I saw her. It wasn't every year, it was every time I saw her. And so I have tons of boxes of crayons, some of them years and years old. And somewhere I even have my old coloring books that I had as a kid. I should figure out where those are. That'd be a fun video to do. So yeah, I have in the past year really stacked the stuff in here in this room, and I need to be using things up and instead of adding to the craft room chaos. So I've moved into the last half row for this one. You can see that it's becoming a lot more dark green, and it will get it'll get even darker green here soon, but yeah. I've not had enough of this coffee. Okay. Yeah, so cleaning up is one of the major things that I want to do over my break. The other one is, like I said, get down into the wood shop and get some things made for selling and just get some things finished up. And I want to think about like packaging for the craft fair that's coming up. I think if I could have things look a little bit nicer, I don't know. This 2023 festival was very rainy, so even with that, I felt comfortable with what I sold. Hopefully it won't be rainy for this next one. 2024 is going to be so busy. Some things that I will have coming up in 2024 are, let's see, in January, I will go do some training in Atlanta. And at the same time, my son has a swim meet. So my husband will be going swim meet. I will be going to Atlanta. we'll have to figure out logistics of all kinds of things. I'll have to, like, you know, put my classes into something that they can do while I'm in Atlanta. Then, like 2 weeks later in February, we will be going to Winterfest in Ottawa. And so again, I'll have to figure out what's happening with my classes. I think actually everything will be okay-ish on all of that. And then I'm trying to think what else we have in February. I mean, I know there'll be things. I just don't know what those things are. I guess I should write them down. So that's just the first part of the year. In March is when I have my wool festival. And then I have a big birthday in April, and we have a total solar eclipse in April. And we're in the path of like 3 or 4 minute totality, like really long amount of totality. So hoping for a good weather. The last eclipse that we had, it was an annular eclipse in October, and we were cloudy and we didn't get to see it. So it will be really heartbreaking if we are cloudy the day of the total eclipse. The last one we had in 2017 was completely breathtaking, and I'm very excited for this. We've all been kind of talking about how, me and the other professors in my department, about, you know, maybe we should try to get to some of these other total eclipses because they're just way too much fun and very exciting. I would love to do that. But, you know, once in a lifetime opportunities, and we have our second one in like 4 years. 4 years? No, 7 years. It's been 7 years. 7 years. Oh my goodness. So I have just 10 stitches left for today's pattern. If this video gets like even 2 views, I will be shocked. Okay, there it is. That's the last stitches for today. So you can see it doesn't take very long to get through the pattern each day, which is really great. So here's where things are. And thanks for watching my Advent knitting video. Happy crafting.